pada Krishna prasaya bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Patadagatatari Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Patadagatatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivadaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivadaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare प्रभुपादिकी जाए हरिनाम प्रभु you take over प्रभु
Yeah bro कोरल ಎಲ್ಲ ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೂಕ ಬಂದಿದೆ ರಾಗನೆಲ್ಲ
हरिनाम ಕೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು
Yes bro thank you Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Gauravan Nirvishesha Saraswati
Haribol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanush Mahaprabhu.
Jaya Prabhupada,
Krishna Prabhu.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Lila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Lila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada की जय, हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्णा धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी.
We'll start with the prayers.
Yes.
Om Agyantimandase Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadameyam Dadati Sapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Uttara Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakamitamsa नमा ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णापेक्षाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतसे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपिका गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्याम जगन्नाथाय ते नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare.
Okay. Group number 1 is ready for with presentation. One, sir.
Sarojini Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So she has to be made a host, na?
Yes, Prabhu, I made it. Prabhu, just one small clarification, Prabhu. Today onwards, we are trying to do some online, YouTube online. It says some restriction. It could be any relations between the number of subscribers for the channel. Is it something 1,000 suppliers should be mandatory to live broadcast any program, Prabhu?
I feel like that, Prabhu, because what happened is with my channel also, I was trying to do the same thing. And I have more than 100 subscribers, like 150 like that. Okay. But they don't allow. They just stop within 3 minutes only.
Yeah. What I read the terms and conditions today, I sense it somewhere 1,000 is the mandatory. If at all you wanted to live, we are just 500 plus now. I think.
True, Prabhuji. 1,000 is mandatory. I heard from SNGM temple also.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Subhadra Mataji only mentioned actually.
Actually, in the terms and conditions, they showed 50. But what happened is, despite that, at least for myself, I saw it is more than 50. I have 150 around. But still, they allowed only 3-4 minutes of clipping, not beyond that.
Now we have ISKCON from 500 plus. Still, it is not allowing.
I think there's some problem because I also couldn't do it.
Yeah, could be some storage issues. Okay. Thank you. Mataji, please over to you.
So both I and Vaishnavi Mataji will present. Hare Krishna. Is my screen visible, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. We'll start with the first one. Section 1 is about, there are 3 sections totally for today's presentation. First one is equal vision based on Bhagavad-Gita 5.18. So this is the translation. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with an equal vision of learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, and a dog eater, or an outcast. So this is the translation of the Bhagavad Gita, section 5.18. And we are going to see how one sees, based on this translation, how a Krishna conscious person will have an equal vision. So one is, when one is actually advanced in spiritual knowledge, we say he's in a transcendental position. Or we, in transcendental position, we call that person as a Pandita or a real learned man. So we are going to see in detail who is a real learned man and how does he visualize this phenomenal world. So Lord says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. So one is in the transcendental position. He sees equally everyone, each and every living entity. So if we see a Krishna conscious person, we'll see every living entity as equal in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Why? Because Krishna is present as a plenary portion, as a Paramatma or as a super soul. He resides in the heart of every living entity. So Lord doesn't differentiate the body as this body as an outcast body or a Brahmana body or a lower species, even though the body has a certain difference in each of them. But Lord accompanies them in each and every body of the soul that is having a different body. And he's kind and equally disposition towards each of the soul, because these bodies are material manifestations of the 3 moods. So if you look upon the difference and the similarities in the soul and super soul, both soul and super soul are of the same quality. However, they are not equal in the quantity. So both are conscious, eternal and blissful. But the main difference is soul is the knower of his own body, whereas the super soul is the knower of all the bodies. So that's why the person who is having a real knowledge or who is in a transcendental position, he will not be able to discriminate based on the bodily identification. So he understands that there are different living entities who are carrying out, they are under the different dress. So the real spiritual identity is the soul. So he has nothing to do with the outward dress that they are carrying out. So that's why we say that he's in a transcendental position and he's only concerned with the Krishna conscious activities. So he's not concerned about the material activities that are being carried in the world. So that's why he's called as Vidya, and with a proper knowledge, because he's having a proper knowledge. He's seeing the real soul within the different bodies, which is Samadarshina. So that's why just like Lord is equal, having a equal vision and kind to every living entity, similarly a Krishna conscious person is also having an equal vision with each and every living entity, identifying them as a soul, not identifying them with the outward dress or the different types of bodies they carry. So, for example, if we look upon the examples of all our previous Vaishnava acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Ramanujacharya, we can see so many examples of how they don't discriminate based on the body. Especially when we see our own Srila Prabhupada, he doesn't discriminate based on the caste, creed, or religion. He just equally distribute the Krishna conscious to everyone, and he gave equal opportunity for all types of people to participate in the Krishna conscious activity, because they understood that it's a soul and they are part and parcel of Krishna, and so that's why they have given an equal opportunity. Similarly, if we look at all the different kinds of acharyas who are there, so they establish the same principle of equal vision. So they don't discriminate between the caste, creed, or religion in which the body is being different. So the second part is, this is understanding Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission based on the Bhagavad-Gita 5.25. So this is the translation of the verse 5.25. Those who are beyond the dualities that arises from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all the sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. So now, based on this verse, we are going to understand Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission, how his mood and mission are. So Srila Prabhupada was always trying to help all the living entities to get connected to Krishna and revive their eternal relationship with Krishna. Because that is the permanent and greatest welfare that we can do for all the souls. So why it is not, if we do some material activities or material benefits to the soul, it may be pleasing to that moment, but it is very, very temporary and it will not satisfy the soul. So the real benefit and welfare will be when they get connected to Krishna, just as Srila Prabhupada shares an example of a lost boy from a very wealthy person, very wealthy father. So the biggest welfare one can do to that boy is to reunite with his dad, the wealthy dad. So if we do welfare activities based on only material needs, it will not liberate them, because as Krishna says, Lord Krishna says, it's dukkalayam asaspadam. So it's going to be, it's very, very temporary and it is full of miseries. So it will not help people to get the real welfare. So to educate people that the real happiness is in serving Krishna and not in serving one's senses. So this is the mood of Srila Prabhupada, to show real welfare to all the living entities, not only the human beings. For all the living entities, the real happiness will be in serving Krishna and not in serving one's senses. So Srila Prabhupada personally felt pain when he saw people are suffering in this material world, being carried away by this birth, death, old age, and diseases. So he wants every one of us to live as per the teachings of Krishna given in Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavatam. So, and attain the love of Godhead. And this is the best way to attain freedom from all the sufferings. And his mission is to spread Krishna consciousness by distributing Bhagavad-Gita, distributing Bhagavatam, building temples which teaches these literatures, educate people based on the transcendental knowledge, educating about the real goal of life, and giving opportunity of various services to all classes of people, so that they actively engage in the Krishna conscious activities and get purified, and then go back to Krishna, go back to Godhead. So, for example, again, we saw that when Prabhupada reached America, we can see so many sadhus have already been to America, and they don't follow these regulative principles so strictly. And they also suggested that, you can, if we follow strictly four regulative principles, then the people won't follow. But Prabhupada was very strict about following the standards, because his only principle was to liberate people from their suffering, and these rules and regulations are very much needed for them to get closer to Krishna, to lead a sinless life, so that they can understand the pure Krishna consciousness and work on it. So this part will be shared by Vaishnavi Mataji. Vaishnavi? Yeah. Should I continue sharing, or you will share your screen?
Maybe I will share. You can disconnect.
Okay.
Yeah, is it visible, Prabhu?
It's visible. Yeah.
Thank you.
You have to present it.
What is in presentation mode, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So section 3 is peace formula. So based on Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 5, 29.
Mata, I'm not able to see it in presentation mode. I don't know what about other devotees.
Hare Krishna,
You have
Prabhu,
to
we are also
present the
not.
screen.
We are also able to see the slides, but not in presentation mode.
Yes, Mataji, you are even.
You have to go from current slide. Slideshow from current slide.
Yeah, just a minute.
On the left top, Mataji.
Bottom right, you will find Mataji. You don't need to go.
Slideshow from current slide.
No, Mataji. Bottom right, you will find 3 icons. In that first icon, Mataji. Bottom right.
Just a minute.
Both are same, Prabhu.
Yeah, but that starts from the first one, Prabhuji. This will go from the current slide onwards.
Or Vaishnavi, you just start from go to slideshow and start from current slide. You are in the section 3, right? From current slide. Yeah.
Visible now? Presentation mode.
Is it showing presentation to you?
Yeah, it is showing presentation for me.
Mata, you can continue. Don't worry. At least we are able to read whatever you are presenting. No we should not be stuck up because of technology.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So the just a minute. Okay. So the verses like Bhoktaram, Yajnatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Sugritam Sarva Bhutanam, Nyatvam Mam Shantim Richati. So the translation is a person in full conscious of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all the sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities, attain peace from pangs of material miseries. So from this verse, we can understand the real peace formula is knowing Krishna as the supreme proprietor, supreme controller, enjoyer, and well-wisher. So,
Hare Krishna, Mataji, sorry. You can stop your slideshow and just select the slides, Mataji, because we are not able to see other slide.
okay.
Just select the particular slide you are talking. You present it. Just click the slide which you are presenting.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay.
The previous one you are talking about, right? 13th slide.
Yeah. So supreme proprietor, controller, enjoyer, and well-wisher. So if you take us a proprietor from the Vedas, we can understand Krishna's Ishwaram, Param, Maheshwaram. So he's the Lord of, he's the master of the material nature. And also we can understand from Bhagavad-Gita 10th chapter, like Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. So everything comes from me. So whatever we are seeing in the material world or spiritual, everything emanates from Krishna only. So from this, we can easily understand that Krishna is the real proprietor of entire material and spiritual creations. And then Krishna is also the predominator of all the living entities, including the demigods. So Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita in 10th chapter, like Aham Adihi Devanam. I am the source of all the demigods. And then, so from all these verses and from this particular verse, we can easily understand that Krishna is the real proprietor. So, and we can also understand from our personal experience that, we are not the controller because nothing, even in our body, is not in our control. Like everyone has this experience, right? Like many times we don't want to get diseased. We don't want some things to happen, but it's out of our control. So by understanding all these things, and one person who understands Krishna is the supreme controller, so he can be peaceful. So that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita. And then supreme controller, if you take all the people, like whoever following karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga or bhakti yoga, so everyone is given facilities by Krishna only. So like karma yoga, they are following varnashrama dharma. So all the varnashrama dharma Vedas are given by Krishna only. So indirectly they are pleasing Krishna. So even we can see from Bhagavatam reference like varnashrama vibhaga shaga. So by following varnashrama dharma, one has to please Krishna Hari. So and then if you take jnana yoga, people are trying to realize the Brahman, so which is also a partial representation of Krishna. So Krishna's effulgence is called Brahmajyoti. So in this way also, they are worshipping Krishna only. And then if you take Ashtanga Yoga, people who are all following the mystic yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, so they are meditating on the Paramatma as the super soul. So super soul is also an aspect of Krishna. And then if you take Bhakti Yoga, all the devotees, they are worshipping Krishna directly. So if you take all these categories, people either follow whichever path they are following, they are directly or indirectly worshipping Krishna only. And Krishna is, providing, controlling everyone. Even if you take Vikarmis, whoever is not at all following anything, even for them, Krishna is the maintainer. So they are getting everything, whatever is required for leading the life, like 5 basic elements. Even if you take this Panchabhuta, everything comes from Krishna only. And then if you take atheist who never believes in Krishna, for them also Krishna is the maintainer of all the living entities. So in this way, Krishna acts as a well-wisher as well. So like Krishna is showing various path through which they can come out of this material world and reach him. So and then if you take Bhakti Yoga, also through the medium of devotees, literatures and all these things, temples. So Krishna is a supreme friend, because Krishna doesn't want any of the living entities to suffer in this material world. So he just wants everyone to become liberated and come back to him. So in this way, Krishna acts as a supreme well-wisher. So if at all anyone wants a peace, they have to realize Krishna either partially or fully. So in this way only we can attain the real peace or liberation. But one who realizes Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, like all the 3 aspects. So the Bhakti yogis, bhaktas, they are considered to be the topmost. So in this way we can understand by accepting Krishna as the supreme proprietor, supreme controller and well-wisher, we can be happy, because we always worry for two things, like we hanker for something which we do not get, and once we get some things, we used to lament because they may get out of our hands. So when we understand that all these property belong to Krishna, and Krishna is the well-wisher, and just by pleasing Krishna, we can be happy. So the real peace formula can be attained. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So we would like to thank this group by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Group number 2 is ready.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please present.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I hope you're able to hear my voice. Yeah, Prabhu. So the following Bhagavad-Gita. Just 1 second, Prabhu. So the following slokas given for the assignment for the group number 2. So there's a couple of devotees picked up 2 slokas, and we are summarized all the reflections from the Bhagavad-Gita. So first I wanted to explain Bhagavad-Gita 5.21 and 22. The next slide. So Bhagavad-Gita 5.22. Wise man doesn't delight material pleasures which are temporary source of which are the temporary source of miseries. Here in this sloka, one thing is we can understand very clearly. When we run across material pressures and causes, which will the outcome is which will enable for material existence. When we have material existence, when we have material existence, we'll have material body. The material body, once we have material body, will have birth, death, old age, and disease. And one more thing, the most important, the human form of life is not meant for the hard labor, for the sense gratification. That is not the mean for it. And the more you addicted to material pleasures, the more we entrap into material miseries. And we all currently we all know that, and it's no need to explain how the material distresses and what we are looking forward and what we are endeavoring at the end. So material pressures, material pleasures, and material miseries will give material existence. That's what the essence of this sloka. And the most importantly, the human form life should undergo the penances. Okay, so that will give an opportunity to purify ourselves, our existence, most importantly. As a result, we will be enjoying the unlimited transcendental bliss. So the way we perform Sankirtana Yajna, and the way we serving devotees, and the way we are distributing the books, the way we are spreading the God messages. So these are all ultimately the goal of human life that will give an opportunity to experience the transcendental bliss. So that's the essence of this sloka. And the next sloka is 5.21. The self-realized person enjoys the ultimate happiness within. So here we are just comparing with a person who is in Krishna conscious and who is in materialistic, leading the materialistic lifestyle. So here, one who's absorbed in the loving service of devotional services of Lord, he loses the taste of material sense pleasure. So the one who is in Krishna conscious, definitely Lord gives an opportunity to enjoy the higher taste, and he will get rid of the material sense pleasure, and he will lose the taste by serving the Supreme Lord and Supreme Lord devotees. A Krishna conscious person not at all attracted for any kind of materialistic senses pleasures due to his being liberated soul. So Krishna conscious will give an opportunity to liberate ourselves and will not attach it to any kind of materialistic sense pleasure. It will automatically lose the taste. But as a material person, for highest enjoyment pleasure is just attracting the opposite genders. That is the highest pleasure. We all know that the whole world is running behind this, and we can also experience nowadays those who are experiencing news channels or any advertisements on the streets or anyway any mode of bad media. So always exposed with the opposite genders, and they will try to exploit human mind. So here my conclusion here is the Krishna conscious person get an opportunity to give up the material sense pleasure automatically by serving the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Continuing with Bhagavad-Gita 5.19. A self-realized soul has no attraction or hatred to matter. Thus, he is flawless and impartial, based on the purport, equanimity of mind, symbol of self-realization. The importance of equanimity. At such a stage, one is considered to have conquered material conditions, especially birth and death. There is no rebirth, but one can enter the spiritual world. The flawless is on the spiritual platform. People are free from all attractions and hatred. This makes living entities eligible for the spiritual world. This is about 5.19. Now we'll go to 5.20. Speaks about self-realized zone. Based on purpose, explained about self-realized person. Symptom 1, he is not having the illusion of the body related to attachment, no joy in achieving and no lament in losing. A self-intelligent person, Sitra Buddha, steadiness of mind and no material dualities. He knows his constitutional position, which is part and partial of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Never bewildered, knowing Bhagavan, also having a knowledge of body as a temporary. Moving on, 5.23. Hare Krishna Prabhu, actually, this could have better explained by Rasheshwar Prabhu due to some reasons he couldn't able to, but I'm just reading out on behalf of Rasheshwar Prabhu. So, Bhagavad-Gita 5.23, if one wants to progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of material senses. As we all know, nectar of instruction, the first verse, Vacho Vegam, Manaso Vegam. So, and put the translation, one who is able to control the forces of all different senses is called Goswami. Application, one who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Bhagavad Gita 5.24, one whose happiness is inwards, Antashuka, release inwards, Antar Atma, and sight inwards, Antar Jyoti is called perfect mystic yogi. In the Padma Purana, Ramante Yogina Anante, and gives the translation. Application, yoga means connection with Supreme Lord in order to give up all external affairs, experiencing the happiness within by concentrating on Paramatma. Here the given the pictures that explains exactly about sloka 5.23 and 5.24. Last slide. Bhagavad Gita 5.25. Real welfare of the work. Who is fully in Krishna conscious can be said to be engaged in the welfare of the work. He can understand Krishna as a supreme enjoyer. One cannot engage such first-class welfare without being liberated in the Supreme. Therefore, one in full Krishna conscious can perform such welfare. Imperfect welfare, external body and material welfare is imperfect welfare, which is temporary. It is imperfect because we forget real relationship with Krishna. (5.26) Study meditation on super soul can attain liberation. A Krishna conscious devotee can achieve liberation by constant thinking of the Lord. This is understood by the analogy of meditation of bird, fish, and tortoise. The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. Bird maintains their offspring by touching. The tortoise brings up offspring simply by meditation. A devotee in Krishna conscious, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Hare. So we like to thank number 2 also. So the hard work. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we are supposed to start chapter number 6 today, as far as I remember.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Chapter number 6 called Dhyan Yoga. So this chapter talks about method of controlling the fickle mind, how yogis achieve control over the senses through the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. So first I'll explain a little bit about Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga means basically yoga which consists of 8 limbs or Ashtanga. This is called Ashtanga. So what are these limbs? So let me just see whether I have the slide for that. So wait a minute. Anyway, I'm not able to search it now. Okay. So Ashtangas, I'll just speak about it. So what are these 8 angas?
Yama,
Yam, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Okay, so I'll explain them one by one. So Yam and Niyam, so Niyam means do's, Yam means don'ts. So that is basically Yam and Niyam. So Yam means don'ts. Like we also have some don'ts in Krishna consciousness. What are their don'ts in Krishna consciousness?
4 related principles.
Yeah, 4 related principles. No eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. We are like this don'ts. So similarly, there are a lot of don'ts in Ashtanga Yoga also. Because unless until one controls one's senses from sense gratification, one can't practice Ashtanga Yoga. So this is called Yam. Then there is Niyam. Niyam is do's. What are do's in Krishna consciousness?
Do 16 rounds daily. And do 16 round japa, serving the Vaishnavas, and do the service sevas in the temple.
So we have 64 related principles given in Nectar of Devotion. So they all are do's. So do's and don'ts help a person to have some control over mind and senses. Basically, in one sense, it is just to make a person into a human being. So we are not talking about 64 related principles. We are talking about do's and don'ts of Ashtanga Yoga. So it's like a preliminary things for one to at least become prepared. Then comes asana. Asana means body exercises. So different asanas, they make the body fit enough to practice Ashtanga Yoga. Because while practicing Ashtanga Yoga, one has to sit for a very long time. And if one has a lot of body diseases, it's difficult to practice Ashtanga Yoga. So many times now, even our devotees, they suffer with backaches, especially software engineers. It's a very famous disease. And one of the reason for that is because people don't know how to sit. So if you sit properly, then there's no problem of a backache and this and that. So asana. Then after asana comes, so asana makes the body fit for practice of Ashtanga Yoga. So these 3 are over. And 4th one is pranayam. Pranayam, through breathing exercises, one controls the mind. Because mind has connection with breathing. So that's why breathing is like an artificial way of controlling the mind. So we must be having experience. If somebody becomes angry, what happens to the breathing?
Very fast, they breathe very fast, very vigorously.
Yes. So there is a heavy breathing. Somebody becomes angry, heavy breathing is there. Somebody is cool and calm, breathing is like normal. So in this way, breathing also has effect on mind. So pranayam helps one's mind to be prepared for Ashtanga Yoga. That's the purpose of pranayam. Now these are the means, they are not the goal. Then comes pratyahar. Ahar means something we take inside is called ahar. Pratyahar means avoiding taking inside. So this basically talks about withdrawing the senses from the sense objects and slowly withdrawing mind, senses, intelligence, everything from the worldly things. So that's basically you can say a process of detachment. One eats less, one drinks less, one breathes less, one sannyas is also part of pratyahar. So one takes sannyas. Because if you want to perform austerities, home is not a good place. You take less, all the family members will tell, no, what happened to you? Why are you doing so much austerity? No, so they constantly harass you for doing austerities. So then pratyahar. And then comes dharana. Dharana means fixing one's mind on the Lord's complete form. That's called dharana. Fixing mind on the complete form of the Lord. Then comes dhyan. Dhyan is limb by limb meditation on the form of the Lord, Paramatma within the heart. And samadhi means complete absorption in the limbs of the Lord. So that's called samadhi. So these are the 8 angas. We'll discuss. So I just spoke about it. And then we'll discuss this method in great detail in this particular chapter. So that's Dhyana Yoga. So now we'll begin with text number 1. And then there we'll discuss more about Ashtanga Yoga. I just told the 8 limbs, but when to do, what to do, what are the stages, we'll discuss in detail when we go into the chapter. So we will begin with text number 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Anasrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karotiya Sa Sannyasi Cha Yogi Cha Niragna Niragni Na Chakriyaha. Please read the translation.
The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is in the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Hare Krishna.
So Lord basically is talking, this is basically talking about Niskam Karma Yoga. The similar theme is Krishna discussing both in chapter number 3 and chapter number 5. Niragnir. Niragnir means one not making fire for cooking. And Nakriya means not performing Varnasam duties. So Krishna is basically encouraging Niskam Karma Yoga here also. Why? Because the beginning stages of Ashtanga Yoga have to be accompanied with Niskam Karma Yoga. So Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam. These are done with Niskam Karma Yoga. One can stay the Grasta and perform Ashtanga Yoga parallelly by devoting some time for Ashtanga Yoga and while devoting other time for Niskam Karma Yoga. The reason is because for attaining especially Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, one has to be free from doers and mentality. So again, coming to the same chart which we had discussed before. So that chart is like a very, very important. So if you remember in that chart, I'll again show that chart to all of you. So this is the Ashtanga Yoga here. So no desire for fruits is a qualification for Niskam Karma Yoga also, and it is also a qualification for beginning with Ashtanga Yoga process. So one can do Niskam Karma Yoga, means one can perform one's activities in one's own Varna as a Grahastha. At the same time perform Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam. And slowly when one becomes qualified and one gets freedom from doers and mentality, then one can take sannyas, which is a part of pratyahar. So some limbs of pratyahar one can do in the later stages of grahastha life also, but one limb of pratyahar is also taking sannyas. One takes sannyas, goes to the forest, one is very confirmed that I am free from doers and mentality. When one becomes free from doers and mentality, he becomes qualified for the higher stages of Ashtanga Yoga, that is Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. One can do that. And Ashtanga Yogi generally go up to Brahman. If somebody is a Yoga Mr. Bhakta, he can go up to Paramatma level. So that detail we'll discuss a little later. But for Ashtanga Yogi, they can go up to Brahman only. They don't desire Paramatma. Although I have shown here Paramatma. Paramatma is for Yoga Mr. Bhaktas, not for Ashtanga Yogis. Okay. So then they attain. That is how. So that's why in the initial stages, because they have to perform Niskam Karma Yoga, Krishna is encouraging them to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. But that is desirable in the beginning stages. So because what happens initially, performance of Niskam Karma Yoga will purify the heart. And one who is like anasita for karma phalam, he doesn't expect any results. He is as good as a sannyasi anyway. Because a yogi means a person whose mind doesn't dwell in sense gratification. He's a yogi. So this person anyway is not desiring sense gratification, is considered as good as a sannyasi. So that's why Krishna says, just by closing one's eyes and meditating on sense object, one doesn't become a sannyasi. So na niragni na kriya. Not that no, you're not performing any varnasam duties and one is not lighting fire. That means one is begging and eating. That doesn't make a person into a qualified person or a sannyasi. So Krishna says, so don't immediately give up the house and renounce. Because Arjuna is here going to fight. So Krishna doesn't say that, okay, you immediately run away from battlefield and say, I'll take do Ashtanga Yoga. Even if you want to do beginning stage of Ashtanga Yoga, no, can perform your duties of Varna. So that's necessary. Okay. Now that same theme continues in next verse also. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. Please read the translation.
What is called renunciation is known to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself to the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
So basically, Krishna is almost repeating the same thing, saying that sannyas means renouncing one's actions, and yogi means his mind is not achieved by the desire to enjoy. So in this way, both are same, because ultimately none of them are engaging in sense enjoyment. So those who are not given that desire to enjoy, they can be called sannyasi. They can be called yogi. None of them. Now Krishna begins with, so he just told out prerequisite, that is Niskam Karma Yoga. Okay, Prabhakar tu.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhu, I have that you explained that Ashtanga Yoga, right? I didn't understand actually, just that who's supposed to do that and who should not, and what we're supposed to do. Just
you are not supposed to do, you are supposed to chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, that's okay, Prabhu, okay.
And this is for those who want to do. Those who want to perform, they can perform. We'll discuss these things in detail. The difficulties of Ashtanga Yoga. They are not meant for Kali Yoga.
Okay, Prabhu.
So we have not discussed it, but we'll discuss. Okay.
Right. Hare Krishna, thanks.
So you don't have to worry. I'm not telling you to take sannyas. Okay. So don't worry. Okay. Arurukshor munir yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudasya tasseva sama karanam uchyate. Please read the translation.
For one
who is a neophyte, is the eightfold yoga system. Work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Krishna is basically talking about two stages here. If you see the two stages here in the chart, first one is called Yoga Arurukshu. That's what Krishna has spoken the first word. Arukshur munir yogam karma karanam uchyate. So one who is a beginner, or Arurukshu, Arurukshu basically means a beginner. So one who is a beginner in yoga, what he has to do? So because he is desiring munir yogam, yoga means he is desiring steady meditation, that will come by elevation of one's consciousness by performance of prescribed karmas. When one performs prescribed duties will purify his heart, and slowly he'll become qualified. That's why yoga raruksu person has to perform the activities of varna and ashram very, very properly, very, very diligently. So this person is called a beginner. Karma karanam uchyate. He means karma means here according to varnasam dharma. So he has to perform the activities of varnasam dharma to purify his heart, so that he becomes later on a qualified person, which is called yoga runas. Yoga runas tasyeva. Who is yoga run? Sama karanam uchyate. One who can have steadiness in meditation. So such a person can maintain that level by cessation of actions. Because as soon as one sits down and he has cessation of actions, means he is not acting, immediately mind becomes agitated. Now, many of you may be having that experience. At least I've heard some, especially in the beginning days. Some devotees have this experience. That Prabhu, till we are active, we don't see any mental desires. But as soon as you start chanting Hare Krishna, as soon as you start reading Prabhupada's book, immediately all the mental desires come in picture. So are we getting purified by chanting Hare Krishna and reading Prabhupada's books, or we are getting purified? What is happening? So what happens is, as soon as we stop the activities of the working senses, now mind and intelligence become activated. Then if mind is impure, impurities will come out. Mind is pure, purity will come out. So because mode of passion, it forces one to work, one to act. So that's why for such a person, yoga rudasya, who can do that yoga? Who can be yoga rude person? Sama karanam uchyate. Whose mind is in equanimity. That means he can sit down yet not fall prey to sense gratification. His mind doesn't dwell in sense gratification. He can meditate on the Lord consistently. Like although all the devotees are beyond screen from me, but we know that many times it becomes very difficult for devotees to just sit down and hear peacefully. Just keep on sitting on laptop, then we go to this key and that key, then people keep on, sometimes people keep on browsing also, parallel processing. So all those tendencies are there. So although devotees don't say, but I understand when I see on their face. So things are, I can see beyond the screen. So the point is, one needs that equanimity of mind. One needs that cool-headedness to really concentrate. So that's why one who can do yoga run, person whose mind is not agitated when he sits peacefully. So that's why person till he's that qualified, what is expected from him is keep on performing varnasam duties, do yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, till your heart is purified and you are free from dualism mentality. Okay. Now, bhakti is a different thing. Even if you are chanting Hare Krishna, we neglect the material desires and we concentrate on chanting, then slowly material desires go away. So that's a different thing. But for yoga, because meditation has to be very, very strong, so that's why one has to be free from dualism mentality. And this person is not going to do meditation for 1 day, 2 days. It's a lifelong thing. That's why we have this experience that initially, although many people, even students, they desire we will become brahmachari and this and that. But many people, it becomes a big challenge to stay in brahmachari ashram. And one of the reason is because Krishna consciousness is not just a part of your life. It is whole of your life. It's a whole of your life. So having Krishna consciousness as a whole of the life, and initial days, people may think, okay, Prabhuji comes in the home and you respect him. He gets garlands and this and that and obeisances. But after he goes in ashram, nobody respects. all your pride will be gone in a moment. All the brahmacharis are there to purify you. So then what happens is then because of time, it becomes difficult. So many people, they enter, but very few people continue. So similarly, this person who is going to be yoga road, he is going to sit and meditate for whole life, sometimes lifetimes. Not an easy job. Sometimes hundreds and thousands of years. So one has to be very clear that there has to be cessation of all actions. And one is contamination doesn't come out. Okay. Yeah. So contamination means here, even dualism mentality. That I want to do this, do that, do that. You can't do anything now. You can do only meditation. And nobody will glorify you. Sometimes one goes in seclusion. You are not even known to the people that you are doing meditation. Sometimes what happens is, it becomes easy for devotees to sit straight in the japa because the people whom you have preached have come inside. So initially people may be learning chanting, but immediately some, your own people come and people sit straight and chant nicely. Because pride becomes incentive. But if somebody doing seclusion, somebody is chanting very attentively, that means he has that substance. So, of course, it's not about chanting, but for yoga root person, they don't do it for showing to the people. So one should really have no dualism mentality. Then one can sit. So Krishna is like dividing both the stages. Okay, Sarojini Mataji, she has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, like when we hear these people who are into meditation, they say that you usually have the six or seven chakras now, Prabhu. They try to open up, and then they say they get enlightened. But to which stage do they actually go? Especially when they have this. The last one, when they try to open up, I often used to hear, I wonder where do they actually realize, or what kind of realization do they have?
So anyway, we will not discuss those things now, because we'll discuss those things later on.
Okay.
When we go into the processes.
But is it anywhere connected with this line, Prabhu, as you said in Yoga Ruda and Yoga Ruruksha? Any point of place where these realizations get connected?
Actually speaking, this particular Sat Chakra Yoga can be practiced only when your heart is totally pure.
Okay.
If heart is not totally pure, one cannot practice this Sat Chakra Yoga. This comes in second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So those all details we'll discuss in the future classes. Okay. So now we'll not go in those details. So we are just beginning. Yoga Rune, Yoga Ruruksha. Okay, now Yoga Rune. Krishna Father continues on Yoga Rune. Yada hi nendriyarthesu na karmasya anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudastadochyate. Please read the translation.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. Thank you.
So he should not be attached to sense objects like sound, actions, anything. So it's not just being attached to sense objects related to Gyanendriyas. Like sweet singing, seeing something beautiful, smelling something good, touching something very smooth. Not just like that. It includes Karmendriyas also. Karmendriya means not doing anything with hands or legs because you want to accomplish something. So then such a person can be studied in meditation. Because one has to sit in one place for hours together. One has to meditate. You keep on roaming around, you can't meditate. So tough task. So such a person, he can't act with Karmendriyas or Gyanendriyas for the purpose of sense gratification. Because doers mentality is also subtle sense gratification. You want to achieve something, make something, do something. Okay, Sarojini Mataji, she still has question.
So when they don't use Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, they are actually using their mind for meditating now. It's only for sensory activities you're saying. That they don't use any of these.
They don't use it for any other desire apart from the purpose of elevating oneself to the level of Brahman. Apart from that.
Because when we say that it's cessation of work, they don't do any work at all when they do dhyana, which means they're also using their mind for meditating, which is your one of your sensor.
See, when we say cessation of work, it is English. But in the Sanskrit, if you see, the word uses karma karanam uchyate, sama karanam uchyate. So the word karma basically means varnashram dharma. That means one doesn't perform any more varnashram activities, dharma activities. Basically anything which is called kama karma. Kama karma means something done for the purpose of sense gratification, either gross or subtle. So even calling yourself that no, he's a person who has done all these things. That means some subtle desire of dualism mentally still there. Okay. Narasimham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, in this Ashtanga Yoga, this Yam, Niyama and Asana. So today, like, so we have this for the physical, when you say bodily exercises, this Asana comes. So this Asana, they go and do this gyms, and we have cult fit some organizations to maintain just the body. So because the Yam and Niyam is not there at all, so we can't call this as this nowhere this going to gym or anything falls under this Ashtanga Yoga, na Prabhu? Am I correct?
The purpose has to be clear. Like somebody dancing in a nightclub or in a discotheque, do you call it Harinam Sankirtan?
No.
Why? He's also dancing, you're also dancing in temple. Why it is not called Harinam Sankirtan?
Our purpose is different. We sing for the pleasure of the Lord, and therefore the material sense gratification they sing.
So similarly, yoga means connecting with the Lord. If you don't connect with the Lord, it's not called yoga. It can be called bhoga.
Now, because most of the CEOs, vice presidents, they also come to the gym, Prabhu. So they don't know at all on these aspects. So they think that by doing this is a yoga. They themselves say that, okay, this is only yoga. That's what. So it's totally misconception.
See, we have to understand what is meaning of yoga. Yoga means connecting with Supreme. It is done with a purpose to connect with Supreme, that is yoga. If it is not, then that is called bhoga. It cannot be called yoga.
Yeah.
Bhoga means sense gratification. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So now the importance of mind is given. How mind is so important in Ashtanga Yoga. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atme bhi atmano bandhur atme ripuratmanaha. Please read the translation.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Hare Krishna.
So here we will find different meaning of Atma. Uddaret Atman Atmanam. So first Atma is given is spoken as mind. Second Atmanam is spoken about soul, conditioned soul. So one should not degrade himself by the use of mind. Because what happens is na atman avasadayet. Avasadayet means degrade. So one should not use the mind to degrade himself. That means mind can be used for degradation or elevation. When it is used for degradation, elevation is given. Atme bhi atmano.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we lost your voice, Prabhu. Maybe. Is it for everyone or issue from my end? Can you confirm? Okay, then okay. Thank you.
some network problem. So you heard till what point?
Mind can be used for degradation or elevation.
Okay. So mind can, when mind is used with for elevation, that means it is detached from sense gratification and it is used to meditate on the Supreme, connect with the Supreme, and is devoid of attachment to object of the senses. Atme hi atmano bandhu. Then it becomes bandhu. Bandhu means friend. When it is devoid of desire to enjoy sense gratification or object of senses, and it is used for connecting with the Supreme, then it is bandhu. And it is called Ripur Atmana. Atme Ripur. Ripu means basically enemy. When it becomes enemy, when it is attached to sense objects. So mind attached to sense objects degrades. Mind attached to Supreme Lord elevates. So that is the definition of mind becoming friend and enemy. So then Arjuna suddenly gets a question in mind. So then, my dear Lord, for whom is mind a friend? For whom is it enemy? You say, okay, sometimes it becomes a cause of degradation, sometimes elevation. But for whom it acts like an enemy and for whom it acts like a friend? Krishna clarifies it further in text number 6. Bandhoratmatmanastasya yenatmevatmana jitah anatmanastu sattvatve vartetatmeve satruvat. Please read the translation.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So for one who has conquered the mind, friend, he's a friend. Conquered the mind means, as I told before also, people who are in mode of goodness, who see themselves separate from mind, they don't just think. They know how they think and they can think what they want to think. So that means they have control over mind. They use mind as like an object. Like I have this mobile, I can lift it, put it down, put it here and there. I have control over the mobile. But if mobile controls me, then what will happen is, although I don't want to browse certain things, I'll still browse it. I don't want to open certain apps, I'll open it. So there, similarly, mind, we are different from the mind. So first, you can say accomplishment in the life of a yogi, any yogi, karma yogi, jnana yogi, ashtanga yogi, even bhaktas, is seeing that I'm different from mind. That's why some devotees come and say that my mind is not in control. Big achievement. At least you are able to see that your mind is different from you. So it's in themselves an achievement. Otherwise, generally people think themselves to be mind. They identify with the mind. So then who has conquered? For him it acts like a friend because he can use mind for progressing. Unless until you have control, how can you use it for progressing? And for those who don't control over the mind, it remains an enemy only. Okay. So that is how. And that's the reason we have such an emphasis on 480 principles. So many times, so many people who smoke and drink and this and that, and they say you are doing Ashtanga Yoga, that is basically cheating. Because if your mind is not in control, where the question of yoga? Because one has to use the mind for elevation, and if your mind is not conquered only, you are subservient of the mental urges, where the question of yoga? So there are so-called very famous yogis in India, and their statues may be made here and there. But if they were addicted to smoking and drinking, they can't be called yogis. So that's why mind has to be controlled. Okay, now there are 7, 8, 9, these 3 verses. They are basically going to talk about the qualities of one who is in yoga rune stage, higher stage of yoga. So seventh, जितात्मना प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानपमानयोः. Please read the translation.
For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Hare Krishna.
So, jitatmanaha, that means this person has conquered the mind, means mind is going to act like his friend. So, one who has controlled the mind, prasantasya, because he has conquered the mind, what has happened? His mind senses are not anymore agitated. Mind has unfulfilled desires, and they have connection. Mind has connection with all the five senses, basically all the 10 senses in one sense. Like palm has connection with fingers. So mind is connected with the senses. Now, if mind is controlled, mind will not hear the dictation of the senses. Because there are no more material desires now. There are no more desires to enjoy the senses. So then senses remain calm. Senses are not agitated. So then senses are not agitated. Then the stage is called prasantasya. So such a person has no attachment for objects of this world. His senses are very calm. They are sant, not agitated. So for what happens is Param Atmana Samaita. So for him, his soul is completely situated in Samahita Samadhi. His soul is completely into Samadhi. He's totally absorbed in that Supreme Lord. And for such a person, because he is absorbed in Paramatma situated in the heart, he gets a higher taste. And the lower taste and dualities of this world don't create trouble for him. So, Sitoshna Sukha Dukhesu Tata Manapanyo. If you see, each one of them are going to higher degrees. So, first one is the external problems. Seet Ushna means summer and winter. Summer and winter are not going to create trouble for him. Because summer and winter affect the gross body, this person thinks himself separate from the gross body. So they don't trouble him. So whether it is summer or winter, he consistently practices his yoga. And in the 10th canto, Prabhupada gives the example of course, Prabhupada gives in Krishna book, the example of a mountain. So a great mountain, even if it is showered with torrents of rains, mountain doesn't move. Rather, mountain becomes cleansed of its dust and becomes more splendorous and more beautiful. Similarly, people who have conquered their minds, the great sages and even devotees, they don't deter from their devotion service despite so many troubles in their life. Fine, troubles will come for everyone. But for them, every day Mangal Arati is there, every day one program is there, every day chanting of the holy names is there. That devotional program doesn't get affected. That devotion service doesn't get affected. Whatever situations may be there in the world. So similarly for this yogi also, what happens is, heat and cold doesn't matter. He continues with his practice, he continues with his meditation. Then sukha dukha, it is even more troubling because it is connected with one's mind and senses. So mind may be sometimes troubling, sometimes mind may not be troubling. Some good events, some bad events may come in life. This person is not deterred. He continues with his practice. continues with his meditation. And the last one is most difficult. That's man apamaniyo. Somebody may honor him as a great sage. There may be a lot of followers coming and telling, oh, Sadhu Baba, he's doing so much meditation. No, they worship him. And some people may come and they may say, hey, he's a dhongi Baba, he's a cheater. They may blaspheme him. He doesn't mind. He continues with his meditation. So such a person is called in the stage of yoga rule. So he follows a superior dictation. So Prabhupada, the mind must admit to some superior dictation. Okay. So then it is called yoga rule. Okay. Now we'll go to next verse. So this is also another quality of. So what I'll do all the quality, then I'll take your question. So text number 8. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vitendriya Yuktiti Uchate Yogi Samlostrasma Kanchana. Please read the translation.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called yogi when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. Hare Krishna.
So such a person, he is devoid of desires. He is totally satisfied by the knowledge or the realization which he is getting. So Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. So whatever knowledge of Ashtanga Yoga he is having, knowledge of soul is he is having, and the realization which he is having, he is just happy with that. Triptatma. Triptatma means totally satiated, satisfied. That's why Kutastha. Kutastha means he remains situated in one place. He is not deterred. He remains, especially it is talking about meditation. He remains in his meditation all the time. So Yukti iti uchate yogi. In this way, this person is Yukta. He is connected to the Supreme Lord. Or is completed for self-realization. And some lostrasma kanchana. Whether there is a dirt, lostra. So dirt is there, asma, stones are there, or kanchan means gold is there. He sees them equally. Now devotees will not see equally. I'm also running one school here, just started 3-4 weeks back. So I don't see steadily because we have to use for Krishna service. So whenever money comes, I become very happy. Because we have to bear the expenses. But certainly devotees also should not do it for sense gratification. They should, for Krishna service, we discriminate. But for yogi, because he is not a devotee, he is not maintaining any organization or temple or anything. He is not engaging in service of the Lord. For him, it doesn't matter only. He needs some bare necessities for living, and their bare necessities are available even in the forest. So forest you get kandamul. There are fresh springs for drinking water. So one doesn't need much money. One doesn't need so he sees all the things equally. Because none of these things are helpful for his self-realization. So this is yoga rune stage. Okay. Now text number 9. Suhin mitrari udasina madhyastha dvesa bandhusu sadhusu api cha papesu samabuddhir vivisisyate. Please read the translation.
A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. Hare Krishna.
So this is a person who would be, you can say, even yoga rune, he is more advanced. Because he is not just seeing with things equally, he is even behaving with the people equally, which is even more difficult. Seeing things equally is difficult, but seeing people equally is much more difficult. That's even more difficult because they're sentient beings. So whom he sees equally? Suhrit. Suhrit, the person who gives you benefit. So it's called Suhrit. Well-wisher, basically. Well-wisher, one who benefits us. So somebody benefits us, somebody is a well-wisher. We have some affection for him, but we have a deeper affection for one who is friend, Mitra. Mitra means he's always there whenever we have danger. And not just danger, we also have sentiments. We play around with him, we roam around with him. It's called Mitra. But he sees both the people equally. They're still acceptable. But then he sees Ari. Ari means one's enemy who's trying to kill him. So seeing friend, well-wisher, enemy all equally. Very difficult. Then there are people who are Udasin. Udasin means if you have a fight with someone, he has nothing to do with us. He says, who cares? No, whole world is fighting. So he's called Udasin. And then there are some people called Madhyastha. Madhyastha means they enter inside and then they resolve the fight. So one is generally grateful for one who has resolved the fight. But he sees both the people equal, whether he is Udasin or Madhyastha. Then Dvesa. Dvesa means people who deserve hatred because they are trying to harm us in some way. They are called Dvesi. Envious people who are trying to harm us. But he says, no, they are also equal. Relative, bandhu, friend, somebody has blood relationship. Then somebody is follower of dharma, somebody is follower of adharma. So he sees all these people equally, not just seeing gold and lump of stone equally. So it's no, this is a very high quality of Ashtanga Yoga Road. Okay, now somebody had a question. Who had a hand raise?
Anati Prabhu.
Okay, Anupam Kuntu, yes. Now you can ask a question.
Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji. So earlier one sloka there it is mentioning. So mind should use for elevation, not for degradation. So my question is, Prabhuji, so generally mind carries all vasanas, all different means from past lives it carries. So generally, so it will not be under the control. So here my question is, Prabhuji, so until unless once vasanas, whatever previous vasanas will goes away, then only he can elevate his mind, he can elevate his mind himself. So otherwise it is not under his control. No? Degradation means whether elevate or degradation. So basically, so it depends on karma, Prabhu, or it depends upon his own, what you call, trying or something.
See, this person can see himself separate from the mind and he can control the mind. The reason is karma is like a very vague word. Karma has a lot of meaning. Karma can mean your fruitive actions. Karma can mean fruitive results. Karma can mean fruitive tendencies. Karma can mean entanglement in this world. So karma can have a lot of meaning. So we'll not go into the word called karma. Karma can have a lot of meanings. Here we are talking about realization. This person realizes himself separate from mind. And in this way, this person, he can control his mind from getting degraded. That means even if, let us say, because senses by nature, many times they are attracted to sense objects. But this person has so much control that he will not think about sense objects. So that's why we're telling. He can't just think. He can think and plan how he should think. It is possible. It's not very difficult. To some degree, we are also able to do. Like now, practically every day I remember one verse. I memorize one verse. So whenever I go for my morning duty for washroom and all those places, by that time I remember one verse. So mind is absorbed. When mind is absorbed in remembering the words and remembering the meaning and releasing the meaning, mind will not be deviated here and there. So in this way, it is not like very difficult if somebody is properly planning. Many times what happens is people don't, first thing is people don't identify themselves separate from mind. Second, they don't have any plan for engaging the mind. That is the problem. So certainly impurities matter, but this person has to come to such a level of goodness. This is not just 1 day, 2 days, it's for lifetimes. Ashtanga yoga has to be practiced for lifetimes. Or they prolong the life by living for thousands and lakhs of years. So then people do get such a power. Okay.
Yeah, Prabhu. So adding this to Prabhu means my final thing is doubt is, so ultimately those who did pious activities in their previous life, or those who did some devotional activities or something, so they can only think about, so to control mind or to judge the mind. So this one.
Here we are talking about Ashtanga yogi. We are not talking about devotee.
Yeah, Prabhu. That's what Prabhu means. Even though one has to become Ashtanga yogi, he should have in previous life some pious activities or pious karma.
Pious activities bind a person, pious activities liberate a person. I'm asking you a question.
So pious activities generally bind the person.
So there's no question of piety here. There's a question of sense control here. We're not talking about piety and impiety. Even Ashtanga yoga has nothing to do with piety and impiety. Makes sense? Here we're talking on a different level. We're not talking about a level of sense gratification. This person has already surpassed sense gratification. Piety, impiety are not going to help. You can say Varnashram dharma has purified his heart. That makes sense. It's not about piety, impiety. Piety doesn't purify the heart. Practice of Varnashram dharma purifies the heart. Piety may be byproduct. Purpose is not to enjoy. Purpose is to purify the heart. There's a big difference between both of them. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Somehow South Indians have such a, I've seen them. They have a lot of elaborate karma kanda process. So a lot about piety, impiety. Piety, impiety is more for karma kandis. And piety, impiety, the purpose of any yogi is not just piety, impiety. The purpose of any yogi is purification of the heart only. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear. Okay. Okay. I thought maybe my...
But video is got paused for me at least.
Okay. So just I'll see. So there is some signal problem here. But I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
So what I'll do is I'll change my another network and let us see if that works. If that works, then now I am visible also.
Yes, Prabhu, we can.
Okay, fine. Okay. So I think it is clear. So piety, impiety, yogic path is a path of purification. They are not concerned about piety, impiety is like a separate thing. We are not so much concerned about it. Okay. Susukharjanpu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, like adding to this, like basically we say, I have a little conception about this astrological things, Prabhu. So till we are there in this material world, we are bounded with our previous actions and all our controls or every actions, even though we want to do, every person has, control over his planets, we say actually. I'm not sure exactly how to relate this actually. But in this case, even if I want to have a control of our, so much of control of our mind, or to come to the level of such standards and Ashtanga, such kind of things. So how is it, Prabhu? Even if somebody wants to aspire such things also, will that be possible, or how is it, Prabhu? Because till we are there in this material world, everything, all these planets also plays a role on us, they say actually. It controls us, because of his previous actions. So whatever previous birth he has taken. So can that be changed immediately, or how is it, Prabhu?
See, there are certain consequences we may have to suffer with, even from body and the side of mind. But as soon as one realizes that I'm separate from that, one can choose to be absorbed in something else. That independence is always there for the soul.
Okay.
That means you may suffer from body and even from mind also, but you can choose to be absorbed in something else, not in the mental and physical miseries.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You mean to say, even though we'll be suffering for the previous reactions, but still I can have an option of choosing, like, so which even then, how can I surpass, Prabhu, beyond that also? Do I have a control? Even I want to sometimes, we think actually, I want to surpass that, but still, my mind, everything is out of control. So how to, how does it work, Prabhu?
See, these practices, they take a lot of time. Even for devotion service also, devotion service is a long process. It is shortest among all the processes, but it's not so short. It takes time. So, but we can choose to absorb to as much as possible. As much as possible, it is possible. At least try it. Try it, it is possible to some degree. See, many times what happens is we purposefully absorb our mind in misery.
Okay.
I'll give you one gross example. You must have seen sometimes these very old ladies. So these very old ladies, many times they still discuss about something which happened 50 years ago. This lady came to me. She took my, vessel, some katori, and she went away. She took my bowl and went away. Now bowl has changed into, I don't know what it has changed to. It might bowl has been remelted and this and that. The lady who took your bowl also died away. She went away. Now, so many people, and your location has changed, so many things have changed, but still they want to absorb in something which seems to be a big injustice for them 50 years ago. Still they want to be miserable. So that means you are absorbing your mind into misery.
Okay.
So many times people, they talk about now how I'm so miserable, how this has happened, that has happened. That means you are increasing your misery by absorbing your mind in misery.
Okay.
So in this way, where you want to absorb your mind, that matters. If one has that control, despite being physically miserable, one can be very happy and blissful. And we find many devotees. Like just a few days ago, one of the Bhakti courses I was giving. So there's one devotee called Ganga Prasad Pro. So he was sharing his experience. So very senior devotee in this movement for almost 30-35 years. And he has been many temple presidents and even in charge of many temples actually in Africa. So he recently found that he got this cancer. But then he was sharing his experience that whenever I absorb in holy name or I absorb in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, cancer doesn't pain anymore. So so cancer is considered very painful, but he said it doesn't pain anymore. Because he is so absorbed in holy name when he chants, and he is so absorbed in hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam when he is there in the class. She was attending Bhakti class. She was sharing that no, it doesn't pain anymore when I am there in the class. So in this way, one can choose not to suffer, although your stars from astrological point of view may be creating trouble. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so now we'll go to, so now 10 to 32, they describe about yogas and different angas of yoga root stage of steady meditation, engaging mind, etc. So Krishna will talk about that from 10 to 32, the description of Ashtanga Yoga. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekaki yat chittatma nirasir aparigraha. Please read the translation.
A transcendentalist should always try to concentrate his mind on the Supreme Self. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Hare Krishna.
Atmanam rahiti sthitah. So one engages one's body, mind, self in relationship with the Supreme. That means that connection is there. That's called yoga basically. That connection is called yoga. So one is connecting with the Supreme and he lives in a secluded place, because if there are other people who are involved, they will disturb your meditation. Like now, devotees may be having the strong experience, especially when the kids are small, very difficult to chant. And you just can't neglect them. Now, you will be chanting Hare Krishna, they may be biting your neck or scratching your hairs, scratching your head. So difficult. So that's why this person who is suddenly you cannot ignore them, because they are also a responsibility. But at the same time, when this yogi is concerned, he stays in a secluded place. And he's always very careful to control his mind, Atmanam. So he should be free from material desires. He should not have any desire, because mind will wander into sense object in that case. And he should also be free from possessive mentality. Possessive mentality means, this is me, this is mine. You may be sitting on your deer skin, and your deer skin and another yogi's deer skin may look to be same. And he takes your deer skin and goes away. If one is too much into I and mine, then one will start fighting in the forest only. So one has to be free from the possessiveness. My deer skin, your deer skin. So one has to be free from that. So then such a person, he becomes eligible to concentrate. Now all big details are given. By that we'll understand that how bhakti is so easy as compared to Ashtanga Yoga. So first thing already I told here, that Atmanam rahasi sthita, he is in a secluded place. So getting a secluded place, it's in Kali Yuga itself is a very big thing. It's true. It's pretty difficult. So who was speaking? Some Maharaj was only speaking. Then one temple in Kerala, some new student he joined, Brahmachari ashram. But then he had like the tendency of staying in seclusion, tendency of not doing some meditation, etc. So he told a lot of troubles in temple. So much sound, so much of no activities. Many brahmacharis have experience also. That no, all the people say, oh, sadhus means now you are very peaceful. But sometimes you have more responsibility with grastas than grastas also. One time, one of our brahmachari in temple was crying. He was doing so much service. No, I'm not able to do anything. Better than that, no, I become grasta only. At least, no, there are 2 children here. You preach, you will get 50 children here. And if you have like no 60 people with you, and one person becomes crazy once in a, no, they get some mental problem once in a 2 months also. That means every day somebody has a mental problem. So he really became annoyed, and this brahmachari said, no, I'll go to Himalayas. I'm talking about this Kerala boy. So after 6 months he stayed, and then he went to Himalayas for practicing Ashtanga Yoga. And then again devotees saw him after another 6 months he came back. He said, why you came back from Himalayas? He said, what a world this is. Even Himalayas don't have a seclusion now. He told that I was trying to sit and meditate. Monkey was again and coming and pulling my dhoti. And then I thought, no, I kept a big stone in front of the cave so that monkey doesn't enter inside. Then every 15 minutes, this Indian government is sending a helicopter for giving a tour of Himalayas. So that is creating so much sound. I'm not able to meditate there also. So Sochodesha itself is like a big challenge in Kali Yuga. It's not that easy. Getting secluded place. Now, not Sochodesha, the first one. Atmanam Rahasi Sthita. Now there are more conditions. These are not the only conditions. So there are 11 and 12. Sochodesha Pratishtapya Stiram Asanam Atmanah Nati Uchritam Nati Nicham Chailajna Kusottaram Tatre Kagra Mana Kritva Yat Chittendriya Kriyaha Upavisya Sane Yunjyat Yogam Atma Visuddhaye. Please read the translation.
To practice yoga, one should go to the secure place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and should practice yoga by controlling the mind and the senses, purifying the heart and fixing the mind on one point. Hare Krishna.
So first thing is he should establish his asana properly. Asana in which you are going to sit. So there has to be kus grass on the bottom, because kusa grass is considered very pure. And kusa grass is expansion of hairs of Varahadev. So that's why kusa grass is done. Then one puts deer skin. So that snakes and different insects don't come and trouble you. Because in the forest there are a lot of insects. People in Bangalore may not realize, I'm staying here in Gosala. Every season there are different kinds of insects which come. So in our room also, I am on the first floor. Here snakes also come many times. Different insects for sucking blood comes. So this is deer skin is there. And then there has to be a cloth at the top above the deer skin. So this is how asana is made. And then he engages in meditation, Atma Visuddhaya, for purification of the consciousness. By being free from disturbance. And then when one does not engage in sense gratification, even the subtle body becomes very, very weak. Weak means now mind doesn't become very strong and agitated here and there. It is in control. Like a weak animal would be in control, a strong animal very difficult to control. So similarly, this mind becomes like a weak animal, very easy to control. Then it becomes favorable for realization of Brahman. But then we'll go in details of how it is so difficult. Now seat also. Seat should not be very high, seat should not be very low. If seat is too high, what will happen? One will get buried in the seat only. You can't sit in a proper posture. And if seat is very low, then there may be cold entering from inside. During summers, heat will enter from inside. So it should not be too low also. And it cannot be too high also. So not too high, not too low. Okay. And then one should fix the Drisyatin Agraya Buddhya Sukshma Sutsam. And then by concentrating intelligence, controlling the mind, then one can meditate on Paramatma within the heart. Okay. Okay, we can take from Visakha Mata's question. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, like the first 4 steps, like till pranayama, we discussed that can be done with Nishkama Karma Yoga also. So does it mean that they no need to go to any seclusion or something, right? Like whatever now we are discussing is above that, like Pratyahar and
Yes, yes.
all these things. And then like unlike Jnana Yoga, we have a risk like once we get fall down, we will. I mean, we are not following their any karma, varnashrama dharma also. But here, even they have a fall down, they can be in the platform of Nishkama Karma Yoga, right? Prabhu, in Ashtanga Yoga, like.
See, here fall down, what will you consider a fall down? Fall down has a level. Let us say, if you say about somebody staying in family life and doing Ashtanga Yoga, and he engages in some sinful activities. Sinful activities one has to suffer. So that fall down is like a severe one. But somebody say, let us say somebody has a fall down in the sense that somebody engages in some fruitive activity. That is also considered a fall down for a Ashtanga Yogi. That's okay.
That's okay. But still they'll be in
That's
the varnashram.
okay. Yes. Because one has an opportunity to engage in sense gratification legally according to scriptures to one degree. So that safety is there. So that means even let us say mind is agitated and one wants to now nicely enjoy some nice, let us say pav bhaji, or let us say he wants to eat some masala dosa. You are allowed. But when you go to forest, you can't be expected, oh, no, let me enjoy masala dosa. And you don't get any masala dosa in the forest, then whole meditation rather than Paramatma will go in masala dosa only. And next life one will be born in a shop of masala dosa. Maybe one may become son of a person who cooks masala dosa. So that danger is there. So that fall down is avoided. Okay. So that's why till one is free from material desires, one should not take to yoga road.
Forward.
Clear? Okay. So we'll take just one more verse because this also talks about the restrictions of Ashtanga Yoga. And then we'll end here today. Samam kaya sero grivam dharayan achalam stiraha sampreksya nasika gagram swam disas chanavalokayan prasantatma vigadbhir brahmachari vrite sthita mana samyam machitto yukta asita matparaha. Please read the translation.
One should hold one body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Hare Krishna.
So head, neck, and kaya means basically the middle section. So whole body has to be straight. Withdraw your mind from different sense objects. Stare at the tip of the nose, and some of the other commentaries say it has to be meditated on the bhrumadhya, between the eyebrows. So anyway, any of the things. When you think of the Lord alone, machitta, without deviation, one should, machitta means absorb oneself in the beautiful form of the Lord, and one should have devotion for the Lord. So all these details are there. So you can just try. No, in your home, when you, after the class, you can try to sit like that. By that, you will develop appreciation for Krishna consciousness. How Krishna consciousness is so difficult. Many times devotees say, Prabhu, so difficult, chanting so many rounds, this, that. Try this for 5 minutes, you'll realize what is this is actually called Ashtanga Yoga. Not that now you nicely sit down on your yoga mat and no, nobody there to correct. So that's not actually Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga is not so easy. And then meditation on Paramatma is also there. So not so easy. So many details. And other thing is written, complete free from sex life means one has to take sannyas. You can't stay in home and perform this yoga rule stage. Yoga rule is okay, but not yoga rule. So one has to take sannyas and go. First step, if you tell to people who meditate, you tell in the yoga studios, all yoga studios will become empty. That now, okay, you can be having, you can come in our yoga studio only if you have taken sannyas. Then you'll find hardly people coming and joining. So it's not that easy. So all these restrictions are there. Okay, fine. And then we'll discuss further in our next class. So, okay, last question by Uday Karanpu, and then we'll end.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, can you explain this Jnana Mishra Bhakti and Dhyana Mishra Bhakti? So this Kama Mishra Bhakti, can you explain, Prabhu? What is that?
No, we'll not discuss now. Why? Because we'll discuss that in from chapter number 7. So this is just chapter number 6.
Yeah.
And chapter number 7 and 8 is discussing about Mishra Bhakti only. So when we discuss chapter number 7 and 8, then we'll discuss about all of them in great detail.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So I don't want to go suddenly jump out of context.
Okay.
So you have to just wait for 2-3 class. We'll learn that.
Yeah, okay. Now in the
Hare
first you told that Paramatma stage they will reach this Dhyana Mishra Bhakti.
No, not Gyan, it's Yoga Mishra Bhakti.
Yoga Mishra Bhakti.
So Yoga Mishra Bhakti comes in chapter number 8. Whole chapter number 8 is the whole theme is Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Chapter number 7 is Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti. Chapter number 8 is Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So when we go to there, then we'll understand.
Okay, thank you.
Hare. So we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Tagore Prema.
Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Dhanavad. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.